Good afternoon, I'm Gabriella Pagan. We are getting straight to breaking news. 34-year-old Bethany Carricker has now been charged with 2 counts of aggravated child abuse by neglect. New here at midday, we are learning more about a shooting investigation where 3 people have been arrested. Knox County Sheriff's deputies were called out yesterday afternoon to High School Road in Powell. Police in East Tennessee arresting a man on drug charges after he allegedly broke into a home for coffee. Hawkins County deputies arresting Shane Hall. The officers with the Knoxville Police Department continuing their efforts to solve an open homicide investigation from 2017. Hall's high school on a soft lockdown, all after a threat was made online. That threat happening last night. According to the Knox County Sheriff's Office, Morristown police are investigating tonight after a 3-year-old boy was discovered dead in a minivan. Officers responding to a home on the 2400 block of Fairview Road around 10 p.m. Turning next to a 6 on Your Side crime alert where police are searching for 2 shoplifting suspects out of South Knoxville. Take a look at the photos that are on your screen. All right, welcome back. If you have the chance to get outside today, do like our own Matt Hinken and make the most of it. Matt is out spending his midday at Chilhowie Park for Knox County's Farm Day. Hey, Matt.
Gabby, take it away.
Well, I got it wrong, you guys, because I chose Atlantic. Time now to take a look at the roadways. We're checking in on your afternoon drive. We're going to start with the T-Dot Smartway cameras. Middlebrook, 386. And now Serafina is here. However,
yes,
she cannot speak.
No, she cannot speak. Mermaids cannot speak. Did you know that?
I did. Disney taught me that.
Okay, good.
Welcome back, everybody. Justin's joining us at the desk to get a closer look at your forecast. We're weather aware and things seem okay right now, but that's not the case later on this afternoon.
The issue is what may yet develop.
Take a look behind me. This was a swift water rescue earlier this morning that we tried to get to around 6 a.m. This was just one of 2. Quick look to the left, another vehicle, this one an SUV, a Nissan, getting stuck in the water. Did you guys come out here today just to kind of assess the damage and look at your park?
Starting with that decision from UT basketball star Grant Williams not to forego his final season, but see what the NBA draft might have to offer.
Guys, as we're coming on the air right now, you can hear those explosions in the background. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Fire Captain DJ Corcoran and let him explain those loud booms that we're continuing to hear as the flames are only growing. I don't know if you can see what's in front of me, but right now fire crews are moving the line of where media has been further back for our safety.
All right, Gabby's still collecting her things. She is moving
Can you guys
back. We're still with you, Gabby. We're watching
and
you
there's
move your
another
things.
explosion. Well, we're hearing more explosions, Lori, and those are propane tanks on equipment. We don't know where they are, but that's number 5.
Oh,
that's
goodness.
The 5th explosion I've heard since I've been here. There was 3 more earlier today. We were in the middle of a live interview with Fire Captain Corcoran when we started hearing more explosions. We're moving further and further back, but as you can now see, we were relatively close and not in danger. Imagine that you've been at work all day long and you walk up to this. She panicked. She began crying. You had 2 dogs at home. We got you in touch with law enforcement.
Yes,
you have your babies. You're
yes,
welcome.
Thank you so much.
How happy are you right now?
I'm very happy. These dogs are my life.
This is a surprisingly but random shooting. They have no idea what this person's motive was. They also don't think that any of the victims, the shooter or the other 2 victims, knew each other. Again, this person drove up, got out of the car, and began shooting just outside of the Coach store.
Until we went out to get video of the property from a public road and Mr. Bergen showed up.
I'm going to get the sheriff out here and arrest both of you. You don't have any business out here taking pictures of my property.
Are you Joe Kyle Bergen?
I am. Yes, ma'am, I am.
I'm Gabriella Pagan. I called you
Well,
earlier.
okay. Oh, you
I
did?
tried to reach you. Yes, I left you a voicemail.
Uh-huh. What was it about?
It was about Earlene.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Earlene. You tell Miss Earlene she don't have no proof of nothing. There's no cemetery on my farm.
Randall and Christina Pruitt took us inside to show us the last place they saw their daughter, going through her things, looking through her closet, bringing back emotion, hoping no harm has come to their 14-year-old. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office confirming for me on the phone at around 5:20 tonight that an arrest had been made in the case of Savannah Pruitt. Now, we do not know the circumstances of this arrest or the status of Savannah Pruitt right now, but I have been calling Both Savannah Pruitt's parents looking for more answers. This morning, we were at the Monroe County Courthouse to get the first copy of Randall Lee Pruitt's arrest warrant.
You talked to Pruitt. We want to play a little bit of your interview with him, and then we'll get your take. You hear that, and you think back to that interview. I mean, looking back, did anything just feel odd to you, or not as it appeared to be?
To be honest, Mike, this whole case has been taking turns that don't appear to go where you would think they would go. I mean, he answered every single question I asked. I can tell you that much. He had an answer for everything. He and his wife were welcoming. They welcomed me into their home. They took me into the bedroom. He made note. He made note of how normal life was just the night before she had gone missing. He noted how normal things were, that she had written her chore list in red Sharpie marker and taped it to the wall of her bedroom, which we saw the very next day in that interview clip. He mentioned his plea for her. He begged for her to come home. He said, "I love you wherever you are. Please come home." Right up until the very last moment, up until he was arrested, he was emotional in wanting to bring her home.
Wow. Again, and you put it well put. A lot of twists and turns in this case.
In honor of a man no one alive today has ever met, a memorial service to honor his life and service to our country has been months in the making. Only there's a good chance it may not happen because the current property owner of the land where Jeremiah Franklin is buried won't allow it. On your side, we investigated why the great-granddaughter of a Civil War soldier is not being allowed to give the man who's been buried for 146 years a proper VA headstone.
It doesn't matter if it was yesterday or 100 years ago. He still lived, he fought. He was important to me. He was important.
About 2 years ago, through Ancestry.com and speaking with relatives, Earlene Sides was able to piece together her family's roots back to the very farmhouse her mother was born.
She and all her siblings were born in that house.
Researching her family history was an effort driven by her mother's recent passing. It's also what brought Earlene Sides back to Morristown after 50 years.
I discovered that my great-grandfather was in the Civil War, and when he was buried on the family property, there was never an appropriate headstone. And that bothered me a great deal.
What bothers her even more is now that she has the appropriate grave marker. The current owner, Joe Kyle Bergen, is not allowing her on the property to install it.
And he said, "It's my property, and you're not allowed on my property." I said, "Sir, have you read the law?" "I have." "Have you read it?" "I don't have to read it. It's my property." And he hung up on me, flat hung up on me.
On July 25th, 1912, Earlene's grandfather, John Franklin, bought 27 acres of the Franklin family farmland in Morristown. On the second page of that deed, it states, 1 square rod is reserved for the family cemetery with privilege of access to those graves. When the current owner was deeded that land in 1988, that deed incorporated a map showing the location of the cemetery. However, the deed itself does not reference the cemetery. We decided to call Joe Kyle Bergen ourselves to see if he would speak with us on the matter. Hi there, this is Gabriella Pagan. I'm calling from WATE 6 on your side. No luck. Until we went out to get video of the property from a public road and Mr. Bergen showed up.
I'm going to get the sheriff out here and arrest both of you. You don't have any business out here taking pictures of my property.
Are you Joe Kyle Bergen?
I am. Yes, ma'am, I am.
I'm Gabriella Pagan. I called you
Well,
earlier.
okay. Oh, you
I
did?
tried to reach you. Yes, I left you a voicemail.
Uh-huh. What was it about?
It was about Earlene.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Earlene. You tell Miss Earlene she don't have no proof of nothing. There's no cemetery on my farm. It's not registered or recorded anywhere.
Granddaddy made some unwise business decisions, signed some loans, co-signed some loans for friends, and ended up losing the farm. So then it was sold many other times until it ended up in Mr. Weiscarver's hands. And Mr. Weiscarver passed away. His daughter Mary was married to Joe Kyle Bergen, and now Joe Kyle and Mary own the property.
Taking what she learned through Ancestry.com and digging through the Hamblin County Courthouse and the Jefferson County Archives in Dandridge, Earlene traced back every pair of hands the property has gone through since 1859, when her great-grandfather, Jeremiah Franklin, first purchased it. Earlene then contacted the Hamblin County Sheriff to try and discuss placing the grave marker the VA in Nashville sent her months ago.
They went out there themselves to talk to Mr. Bergen and then came back and said I was basically at his mercy.
That was the wording from the sheriff's office.
I knew that wasn't right. That kind of really showed me that I needed to go further. That's when I contacted WATE.
Earlene hired an attorney, Dustin Landry, from LA Law in Knoxville. Landry sent Bergen a letter demanding he give Earlene access to the cemetery. So far, he has not. This is what Landry has to say.
It's long-standing law. The Tennessee Supreme Court has said that property owners who purchase property that has a cemetery on it, they basically take it in trust for the family members of those buried on the property. And so they've got to safeguard it, they've got to keep it in good repair, and they have to allow the family members of those buried on the property to access it.
According to Landry, as an heir of the Franklin Thomason family line, Earlene sides should have full access to the cemetery from the closest public road, Shinbone Road, to come and put a new marker on her great-grandfather's grave.
And it just bothers me greatly. I think every person deserves a headstone, especially somebody who fought in one of our wars.
Now, under the law, if Bergen's property has no visible signs of a cemetery and there is no reference to one in his deed, then Earlene Thompson sides may not have a right to lay the marker. Sadly, this dispute may end up in court, but we'll follow it if it does.